Friends and family, thank you for joining me here at the American News Network with Chris Sanders. What this is it's our sun going around, and on its sixth rotation, we're noticing a very massive sunspot. And I'm bringing this up to you because every time it has come around, we've been hit with massive earthquakes, and we just had another one hit Istanbul in Turkey. And I'm seeing it on my 3D, but every time we have this sunspot, so to speak, come around with the earth, we're having major weather patterns and changes that happen. So we had Secretary Rubio go out to visit Zelensky to try to amend things over. And we have Zelensky just being, just a total snob once again. We told him the only option was for him to give Crimea to Putin and probably about 20% of the nation, because the people voted for it. And he was who he naturally is, just some coked up buffoon. And he was very rude to Secretary Rubio. And so we just have to end the laundromat. And President Trump, I want to say, let's take it a step further than that. Let's make it to where Zelensky, George Soros, and even Benjamin Netanyahu can't come back and retire to their mansions in Miami for all the crap they've caused. Now, for NATO and the EU, I want you to understand that the United Kingdom, Germany, and France are the largest agitators to Vladimir Putin. We have Fico of Slovakia peeling off, supporting Putin in peace. We also have Viktor Orban standing in allegiance with Trump, as we also see the validity in Vladimir Putin and not the EU, NATO, or your out-of-control leaders that are out there. So we are pulling out. This is our pullout. We are pulling out just like Jackwagon Joe's dad should have pulled out. But we are pulling out of the Ukraine, and the laundromat that has existed there is going to be no more. Now, as far as these things that are happening worldwide again, as Turkey even says he might go in to attack Israel, the Bible responds with a massive earthquake. A 6.2 magnitude earthquake hit some 21 kilometers southeast of Marmara. And this is near Istanbul. But we have people that are talking bad to Israel. And we have the world and the Lord responding. And so these are people that are running for their lives because the buildings are shaking. In other news, I want you to know that America has received a lot of intelligence, not just from people like Patrick Lancaster out there in the field fighting with Russia as an American citizen, but Kadyrov unleashes a chilling prisoner of war confession. Now, we had the Ukrainians, and they captured some Chinese, and it's obvious that they scared the bejesus out of them. But we have Kadyrov unleashing pretty much verifiable proof that they have taken over. And, that's just something that's going over. As far as another war back here at home, I'm seeing Trump moving our troops back home. And this is important because it says, why are you so concerned about the splinter in your brother's eye when you have a plank that's in your own eye? First, remove the plank in your own eye so that you can see clearly enough to remove the splinter from your brother's eye. And so I'm going to talk about the Roosevelt Reservation. And what is that? Well, he filed the Insurrection Act. No one paid attention what that did or what that was. But I talk about the can't governors, and that'd be California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. But excluding Texas, from El Paso all the way down to the southern tip of Tijuana, we've got now a United States military base called, and you can Google this, the Roosevelt Reservation. It excludes some 62 miles that's an Indian reservation, but it defines it as a military base, and if you go there, you can go under military arrest immediately. And so we're addressing it. I should say I wish it would have done the Texas border too, because none of them can't do their job, including Abbott. So, I mean, if a good, decent Texan like State Senator Tan Parker, or, even Paxton, if you want to get in there, but we need some accountability in the state of Texas. Right now behind me, we're seeing Attorney General Pam Bondi. She is creating the anti-Christian task force. And so if you're noticing a prejudice towards Christians, and as a Christian, I see it everywhere and every day, well, we are creating a community of Christians to enforce that. Because I hear about anti-Semitic stuff all the time, and, anti-Islam and anti-this, but let's get real. It's against the law to be white, and it's against the law to be Christian. There's a reverse discrimination happening in white America, and this last administration has done and hit at the fundamental core of the values of Christianity, questioning God on sex and procreation and family values. So now we have Pam Bondi, and this is probably why the Lord put her in there instead of Matt Gaetz, because she's perfectly suited to go after this crime. And I hope she does, and I hope she does with vengeance as she announces the anti-Christian task force. So we got big news happening today. We got stuff that America's not paying attention to. This is major stuff for the freedom of Christianity, Christian schools. You wonder why there's Muslim schools being started? I've talked to all those Muslim parents time and time again. The same answer is the same answer that Christian parents have. They are tired of the public school system trying to indoctrinate their children to be gay or transsexual. Doesn't matter if you're Hindu, Christian, Muslim, all parents are tired of that garbage. And so now we have the government behind us. And I say we identify the leak, Pete. Yeah, identify them, hang them out to dry, let them sit in Guantanamo Bay for a little while so they can think about leaking secrets, whether it was through Signal or WhatsApp or whatever garbage you want to use. It all comes from Israel or China. The only answer for security, let's get real. We can't have China make our phones. So even all of our tariffs have failed because we can't hardball China. And China's the enemy. They're the ones coming up with these hydrogen bombs made out of magnesium hydride. Oh, yeah. And they've also unleashed a massive air force in Egypt. And pure and simple, who's it to hit? Well, it's to hit us in the United States. That's who it's hit to hit. Now, what I want you to see is why we can't back Zelensky at all. He literally takes fathers from children, 4-year-old kids, at gunpoint. And time again, we see this footage here, and here the military's going right into general public and just accosting men, literally kidnapping men, going into grocery stores. Here, fathers being kidnapped with the 4-year-old, and then the society gets in again and overpowers the military people, even though they have guns. Here, the military's just beating up people so that they could basically send them to their death against Russia. We cannot support this. We could not support Zelensky. He is not a president. He termed out. He's an American puppet. And this is how they recruit. And then the soldiers say, then they send us out directly to our deaths. So I want this to sink in, America. This is how Zelensky gets his troops. And so the streets are scattered there now, full of like 8-year-old and 12-year-old boys. As soon as you're 15, oh, they're going to throw you out on the front line with a gun. And there is video evidence nonstop proving this. Here it is again. And time again, we see fathers that are being taken from their sons and daughters to be sent onto the front line to be murdered. We should give no answers for Zelensky. He is a bad person, and bad things should happen to bad people. He should be given over to Putin as well as Anthony Fauci. He's the only person that I can trust with guidance on as to what should be done. So we have, and you might wonder why there's this respect that I have even for Putin, as he has a Christian Orthodox and partakes in Christ and serves the Lord. And he's very open about serving the Lord, and he doesn't have homeless veterans. They have houses. You see, 24 years of stability is teaching us a lot as far as what's right and what's wrong, and it is appearing that we're working for the wrong side, and we have been. And so Putin is going to the aid of Iran, and so is China. And next, Putin is going to go after Afghanistan. He's going to pick up what we left behind. And our government was just, during Jack Wagon Joe, they were just more interested in stealing from ourselves than anything else. So there is no deal, and we've lost so much. As far as the upgrade to the Navy, we now have 46 Iskander in caliber missiles that have been loaded up into the Black Sea. He is demonstrating 100% superiority. The other thing is that now also in Egypt, this new top generation fighter that we were talking about, the new Flying Triangle, has been noticed in Egypt, and it is ready to attack us and Israel. Now keep in mind, the thing that pisses me off is, should we worry about the plank that's in our neighbor's eye that's being consistently started by Benjamin Netanyahu? No, we need to come back here and take care of the Roosevelt Reservation. That would be the California, Arizona, New Mexico state borders. And he did that because those states are governors run by liberals, woke tards that have lost America. So we have to have a front line of defense there. This floating triangle, if you see it, well, understand, report it. It is China. It's China in action against us. We have Merz for Germany, Starmer for the United Kingdom, and Macron. Those are the enemies of Russia. We do not need to be the enemy of Russia and China because of Benjamin Netanyahu. Understand in the Bible, if you're a Christian and you say we have to, Chris, you need to read the Bible. It's like, please, really, you're telling somebody that has read every single version from King James to NIV, and I hold a doctorate in divinity for doing it. You need to read the Bible and understand in the Old Testament that every time that Israel had a king that strayed from God, they lost. That's the lesson. So it's not a matter of backing Israel. It's a matter of understanding that Benjamin Netanyahu and the Zionists have strayed from God and are the synagogue of Satan as defined in Revelation 2:9-3:9. Many of you claim to be Christians, but you've not read the Bible from the first page to the very last page. You read it from this chapter to that chapter, and this chapter to that chapter, and you'll never get it. So I humbly ask, so that you can follow your faith and have a different understanding, just like I do. Read it from in the beginning to the end. Don't miss a word. Yeah, there are books that are older. Even the book of Job is the oldest, and it is in an order other than that of the chronology of good leaders and bad leaders, like I just described, of leniency, of the times and when all the Jews had almost died under Nebuchadnezzar, but the king of Iran and Persia showed leniency because he found out his new wife, Queen Esther, was in fact a Jew. I say that because today, you see, Netanyahu is not a Jew, or he would follow the traditions of the leniency that was showed in the book of Esther. And then that leniency would show a brotherhood or a commonality. I believe that Xi Jinping is the true enemy of the United States, and he's going to use it as an excuse to steal back the Panama Canal. I believe that President Putin is actually the friend of the United States, and we need to realize that he is the humanitarian and the glue that's keeping it together. While Putin is working with Dr. Fauci and doing evil things, Putin has the ability to do things, and he has not. Because one of those men serves a higher God. One of those men is an Orthodox Christian and supports all people of all faiths. Putin gave his condolences to the Pope, and so did Hamas, but yet Xi Jinping and Benjamin Netanyahu really didn't care for anybody or their faith. Let that sink in more than anything else. I said the other day that the Pope Francis, he passed away, and I am not a Catholic. My mother and grandmother were Catholics. I personally believe that nobody should call an intercessor father, because even Jesus said, I am your brother, and our Father is in heaven. And he did not lead the Lord's Prayer with my Father who art in heaven. He led it with our Father. Our Father who art in heaven. And when John the Baptist and him would see each other, they would say, Behold the Son of God. And they would answer with, It is as you say. Good Rabbi, could you teach me? I am not your rabbi. Our rabbi is in heaven. And so he didn't even want to be called Father, so then why would a church, unless it was a cult, demand such a title? Pope Francis wants to say that even being gay is acceptable. Leniency needs to be known. Well, of course, because their entire clergy is guilty of that crime. For Jesus would have said that we should have put a millstone around their necks and thrown them into the bottom of the lake. I don't know what Jesus you follow. I don't even pass a collection tray around when I talk about the Lord or faith, because he even got some cords and whips together, and when people did that just for offerings, here, you want to buy this dove? He whipped you for it. You see, some people like Joel Osteen, just believe in the favor of the Lord and you'll be okay. Just give me that money and understand you'll be all right, because you believe in the Lord and he's going to forgive you for that sin. No, there's something called accountability and commandments. 365 good commandments, 248 bad commandments, 613 commandments, and Jesus said, I did not come to change one letter of the law. But if you read the book and continue it in order, like I read the book of Ephesians, then Paul, remember my chains, writes so beautifully from jail. Even later on in these epistles, how he had a dream, much like Martin Luther King did, and how we can eat everything and not listen to those laws. Jesus even said, someone will come after me and claim to have this authority. And then if you read the book in order, there he is with that authority. That might answer some questions to some, but never if you read the book from page 50 to 500 to 1 to the end. You have to read things in order. Magnesium hydride. The only enemy that China wants to use this on is us here in the United States. They bragged about hacking our water systems. This is something to take very seriously in Pakistan and in India today. You have 48 hours if you're from Pakistan to leave India. There's a serious war going on between Muslims and Hindus. What do I mean by that? Most people in the United States are oblivious to the wars overseas. So, I'm going to let you hear this. See what you think.
Will not be permitted to travel to India under the SARC visa. Pakistani nationals will not be permitted to travel to India under the SARC visa exemption scheme visas. Any SVES visas issued in the past to Pakistani nationals are deemed cancelled. Any Pakistani national currently in India under SVES visa has 48 hours to leave India. 4. The Defense, Military, Naval and Air Advisors in the Pakistani High Commission in New Delhi are declared persona non grata. They have a week to leave India. India will be withdrawing its own Defense, Navy and Air Advisors from the Indian High Commission in Islamabad. These posts in the respective High Commissions are deemed annulled. 5 support staff of the service advisors will also be withdrawn from both High Commissions. 5. The overall strength of the High Commissions will be brought down to 30 from the present 55 through further reductions to be effected by 1st May 2025.
Okay, we got terror that's happening over there. We have the Pope that passed away. And so anyways, I was bringing up the commandments. 613 commandments. And then we have Moses. And then we have 10. And even as Christians, thou shalt not worship an idol image. But yet there it is as we break one of the 10 commandments every day. Now, believe it or not, the church took that out until the year 777, but the ratings were getting low. Ratings or no ratings, we become blinded by our own laws. And what we have created is a situation that has gone out of control. But we have the Hindus at war with the Muslims, and India has responded by just completely shutting the doors within 48 hours. That's how they've addressed the jihad that they see that's knocking on their door. today. I have to say these things, and I have to walk a tightrope. We have Klaus Schwab, head of the WEF, and he has been removed, but more importantly, there are allegations against him, and if allegations are going after him and making it, well, I don't know if the old boys are all going to stand together in a club anymore. So he's under economic investigation, and this would be Klaus Schwab, the head of the old WEF, and the new guy that's in there looks even more evil than him. So these are things to consider and to pay attention to. Apple, a 500 million EU, and Meta, 200 million EU, fined by the EU and the DMA. Okay. Last night we had 4 towns pretty much decimated, one of them being Odessa in the Ukraine, hit by massive drones, a different type of strategy that we have never seen yet before, as Russia flies over and hits these towns and blows them up. Zelensky was even unaware of the massive defeat that he had faced before he was on TV once again. Again, the J&K attack, the Pakistan Army and the Indian Army are at it. We have massive death happening over there, terrorism, and a major terror attack struck Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam, a tourist hotspot, just days after the Pakistan Army Chief General Asim Munir's controversial anti-India speech. And so that's what we have. They kind of aren't getting along. And my advice is, leave them all alone to do their own drama. Come back here. Remove that splinter from our own eye. So this Insurrection Act of 1807 is in fact the creation of the Roosevelt Reservation from California, Arizona to New Mexico. It is now a military base that you cannot cross. Here's a news flash. We need to do it on the northern border because we're invaded up there. We got a lot of good people from India. But I'd say probably over half of them are illegal aliens that have made it down from Canada. And we need to be on top of that, especially since we're fighting a war. We don't know how many people are from Yemen. We need to understand and get to the truth with Somalia. We've called them an enemy, but then yet I've directly talked with the president's children of Somalia, and they're offering all of their air bases, their ports, and that's very important right now if we're going to fight a war with the Houthis. If you check it out just geologically through Somalia, we can have pretty much the ability to land our airplanes throughout their entire shores. And we need that with Saudi Arabia. And the fact that they're offering support is something that we need to bring to the attention of America. Also, I said remove Jamal Khashoggi, that street sign in front of the United States Saudi Arabian embassy. We need the support of Saudi and Somalia and everybody that we can to help this war, as we notice that Egypt has peeled off against us as they're gearing up ready to attack Israel. So again, our technology is out there, so is theirs, and we need to see who's on whose side here right now. And that's just what it's all about. Again, the Catholic Church, they lost their leader. And again, I'm a Christian. My mother was a Catholic. And my condolences. And for the people that want to be disrespectful, that's, we have more couth than that. As far as in Christianity, I believe that no Christian should have an intercessor between him and God, because it says that in the Bible, that when you want to hear and pray to God, that you go into the private place, into your private room, and what you say to God in private will be heard and open through him. And for the people that want to be seen in their costumes, like you see behind me, they're in a cult and they've already received their reward and their recognition by being noticed there. And it advises us against repetition and against idolatry. But yet here it is at its finest. So I believe that Catholicism is a cult. I believe that they are striving to be Christians until they understand that there is no intercessor between you and God, and that we're all the children of God. And that was Jesus' message, and that the cross is a symbol that was instilled by the Romans as they used to hang Jews and everyone on it for not paying their taxes. And they used it as a symbol of fear to collect taxes. The book of Matthew was written by a tax collector. Mark, he was the Cliff Notes writer for Simon. Luke was a Gentile physician that wrote from the parts of the book of Mary and Mary as they took it out. But in Luke 8:3, you can understand that Jesus' ministry was funded by wealthy women. And the book of John is the most elegant Shakespearean of them all. Will Pope Francis's legacy endure? Or will this church change its direction? Will they give accountability, is what I want to know, from within their clergy and not accept LGBTQ? Because there's a difference between a sin and an abomination. And for a man shall not lay with a man like a woman, and a woman shall not lay with a woman like a woman, nor shall they dress in those manners. There's a difference between a sin and something that the Lord hates. And we should recognize those things, because as we have individuals that make leniency, as we have individuals that placate the words, they turn the rock that the church is built upon into sand. And for a house that is built on sand shall surely fall, as we see it. And those are my beliefs, but then again, I'm not going to give you the Joel Osteen, everything is going to be fine. There are ethics, there are codes, there are things to live by. If there's guilt in anything, it's taxes and laws and infringements. Just like anybody that infringes the Second Amendment. Here's something interesting. So I see Modi, and this is the leader of Hamas. The reason why I'm playing this is I see even other world leaders, real strict guys, all giving their condolences to Pope Francis, because I guess game recognizes game. Except Israel. He doesn't recognize anybody, and I want you to know that. Look at this, the Islamic resistance. Look at the support that they have because of Pope Francis's support for the children of Gaza. Pretty interesting, isn't it? Well, I think it's pretty interesting that we would have something like that. And as the jets are coming out and flying into Egypt as we're speaking, we have a war front, we have checkers that are in place. We know that China's not going to be on our side. And something else I wanted you to know is all this is going on as China is lining up all of its planes in Egypt, ready to hit us, ready to hit Israel. What is the bear doing? What is Russia doing during these moments? Well, Putin is flying bombers and a nuclear arsenal fleet on the shores of Alaska, and if we keep this up, we're going to miss out on Alaska, and he's going to cruise in while we're sleeping, and that's just a fact, Jack. So these are things that are happening. We have the U.S. and its F-35 jets versus Russia, and the Tu-95 bombers have been noticed, and we are noticing Putin moving in. So if we want to leave our assets barely protected, there will be consequences. I suggest we stop following Benjamin Netanyahu and all of his endless games. We can't be his bully forever. He's like one of the old kings of Israel that thought he was just too big and mighty. And then God took him out. There were lessons like that throughout many wars, and that's why it's important that you read the entire Bible. Even the name Israel means those that struggle with God. So when you have to pray for Israel, you have to pray for those that struggle with God. Just like many things you don't know, Jerusalem, the new peace, just like York, New York. Salem was the town of Melchizedek. He was the king of Salem until they destroyed it. Think about it. And this is the war of the seeds of Abraham. All of the Jews are from Sarah, and all of the Muslims and the kings and all of the Arabs and all of the Muslims are the descendants of Hagar and Ishmael. That's how old this is, the Amalekites versus the Jews, but I wouldn't even say that because they're not. They're Ashkenazis. They're actually Europeans that have moved in. And they follow a Talmud of evil, the Zionists. Not even the old rules at all. And according to them, we're all dogs. These are just all truths that are coming to you. The United States, in our opinion as of today, is that the Crimea is officially lost, Zelensky. And so is over 20% of your country if you keep it up. We're going to let Putin take the whole shebang. I don't think we support the EU or NATO, or we wouldn't be taking Greenland. Let's move all of our troops out of all these hostile nations like the United Kingdom and Germany and France. France, you can kiss our ass. You guys have been disrespectful even since my generation. And those are just facts, and I want the military to know it. They need to be on their own. They've disrespected Rubio. Nobody disrespects Rubio. And they disrespected Vance. You know, the Pope looked bad at Vance just slightly, and you heard what happened. No, they're blaming Vance for stuff, and even his wife. And that's just that side of the Khazarian Jewish mafia. They're going to go for every little scrap that they can, so that they can divide us and conquer America. And so don't fall for it. Stick together. And understand that we have gifted, meaning we do not care. And that the Crimea is in fact Russia's, and so is all of eastern Ukraine. And truthfully, the Ukraine doesn't have a president. You have a termed out United States puppet who's probably going to be coming back to Miami after he has killed 95% of your population. What has America done for you lately? Well, understand, I want all of our taxes to be taken care of because I don't see where we're liable for taxes in the Constitution. And will DOJ regulate this, or will they allow for us to be taxed without some sort of representation? Because we need to know. And those are just things that the American public needs to know. But understand that we have a deal that has been reached with Russia, and our allegiance with Russia grows daily. God bless each and every one of you, and I want you to know that what that tells me is that Christ is winning somehow. Because two Christian countries are communicating. And in the meantime, Bibi has gone around our backs, His plan was exposed. And I'm letting you know that Israel's plans of totally attacking Iran without the backing of the United States was exposed and leaked to the United States. And because of that, can we just keep on backing him? This is called the Hertz Reports, the platform in question. The Click portal, designed for sharing unclassified communication, reported the breach in conduct and said to have occurred specifically within the Elite Squadron 69. And this included the duty roster, the biannual training schedules, and 2 classified training presentations outlining methods for dealing with the enemy weaponry. And these were classified ones and briefings of the readiness of the potential strike on Iran, the systems logs and the reports, their nuclear bunkers deep in. And this was reported sharing on a COVID area platform, and they were directly sent out to IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, and for people to work from these situations from even at home. So we have Israel ready to attack even beyond the demands of the American government telling them to cease. And this goes on with all the ceasefires that they have said. They've been directly in accordance, ready to violate every ceasefire that we have lined up. From the Biden administration and on into the Trump administration, we cannot continue to back an out-of-control prime minister, and that would be Netanyahu. Let's concentrate on the California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas borders, the illegal aliens in our own country, the homeless veterans that we have, the orphans that we have, and even everybody that has too much of an accent that's a smart ass living in our country that needs an ICE agent to check them out thoroughly. These are things that we need to start doing so that we can live red, white, and blue. God bless each and every one of you. Amen. Operation Roosevelt Reservation is what it's called, and that is the new military base that's basically from the states of California, Arizona, and New Mexico, from Tijuana to Juarez. Good day.